Hello everyone, in today's video and throughout the week we will be talking about four-digit numbers. We will be reviewing what we already know about these numbers and practicing some calculations with them. So first of all, let's review what we know. If we have a four-digit number, that means that it takes up four numbers to write it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Starting at the far right, we have always the ones for every single number. Then we have the tens, then we have the hundreds, and then we have the thousands. In between the hundreds and the thousands, we have this little dot that is read as thousand. So how do we read these numbers? Let's remind ourselves. So we start by reading this number that's right in front of the dot, pretending that the rest of it does not exist. So if the rest of it did not exist, this would be 7, and we read the dot as 1,000, and then we say the rest of the number, so 532. 7,532. Okay, now let's say I wanted to make this number. I would be using ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. Why is each of these what I just said? This is one single block. Then these are 10 blocks put together, making a 10. These are 100 blocks put together, making 100. And these are 1,000 blocks put together, so that's 1,000. So let's say I wanted to make this number. Well, let's start here. I would have to make two tens. Let's make another one then. Great. Let's move on to the tens. I need to make three tens. So that's one more. Now I have two, and another one. So now I have three. Next we have the hundreds. We need to make five of them. So we already have one. Then we make another one. So that's two, three. Come on, move. 3, 4, 5. So now we have 500s. Next up we have the thousands. We want to make 7 of them. So 1 we already have. And we're going to make another one, and that's going to be 2, 3, 4. How many more do I need? I need another 3. So let's make another 3. Actually, can't do that. So now I have 5, 6, 7. So here we have, if we were to count all of these together, I would have 7,532 blocks. Okay? Great. Now let's see if we can do the opposite, which is if we see this, can we write the number that this represents? First of all, let's put that away. Okay, so can we write what this represents? Let's see. First we have the thousands. There's 2 of them. So naturally, I'm going to go here where the thousands are, and I'm going to put 2. Then we said after the thousands, I put in a dot. This is a dot. Then we have the hundreds. Here are the hundreds. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. 8. Then we have the tens. So there's 3 tens. I'm going to put 3 here. And the ones. I have 4 ones. So how many blocks are here? 2,834. Great. Let's move on to the next one. Again, I start with the thousands. How many of them are there here? 8. The dot. Sorry. Then the hundreds. There's 2. The tens, here you can count them, they're 9. And the ones, I have just this one lone block. So on. So how many blocks are these? 8,291. Great. Let's move on to the next one. Here I have 5,000s, 400s, 6 tens, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. So let's see that again. 5,000s, dot, 400s, right? Yeah. 6 tens. How many ones? 7. Perfect. So how many blocks are these? 5,464. Last one up, we got 3,000s, 700s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tens, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ones. So 3,000s, 700s, 7 tens, and 9 ones. So how many blocks are these? 3,779. Perfect. Next up, we are going to be reading and writing these numbers. So I want you to pause the video and try and write these numbers with words in your notebook. Okay, so look at the numbers here on the screen and try and write them in your notebook with words, with letters, okay? So pause the video in 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you're back, that means that you solved this. You already wrote the numbers down. Let's see if you wrote them correctly. First up, we have 4,875. Let's write that down. 4,000. No, this isn't necessary. 4,875. Next up, we have 3,269. 3,269. Next, we have 7,790. 190. Next up, we have 3,802. 3,802. Next, this is where it gets a little confusing. When the zeros come in, where there are places inside the number that you have zeros. I would read this as 9,093. 9,093. Notice that I did not say any hundreds. I didn't say 200s, 300s. Why? Because in the hundreds place, there's a 0. Next up, 1,700. Here, I didn't say any tens or ones. because again, in the tens and ones places, here, come on, here, there are zeros, so no tens and ones. Next up, we have 3,000. 3 sound, yes, of course. 3,010. No hundreds or ones, because in the hundreds and ones place, there are zeros. And lastly, we have 8,008. Here I don't say any hundreds or tens because there are zeros in those places. Sorry. Next up, we have comparison. So let's remember how we compare 4-digit numbers. So I want to find which of these numbers is bigger. Please write this down. Use the symbols, crocodile symbols, to answer these. Please write these in your notebook and try and solve them. Pause the video and then come back. So pause the video in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you're back, which means you solved them. Let's see if you did them correctly. 3,989 on one side and 4,285 on the other side. How do I compare these two? Since they're both 4-digit numbers, that means that I start by comparing the first digit on the left, so the thousands. Whichever has more thousands immediately is more. So 3 is less than 4, so that means that this number is greater. Well, we don't really care what's going on past the thousands here. Why is that? If you want to think about that, you can consider this. What is the greatest number that this could have had? This could have had 999. That's the greatest 3-digit number that it could have had here. Okay, past the thousands. I couldn't have made this any bigger. And even though it would have the greatest numbers possible here, it would still be less than the one extra thousand than this number has. This number, since it's 4 and this is 3, that means that it has one more thousand than this. And 1,000 is more than any 3-digit number that could have been here. So that's why this makes it immediate. The 4 makes it immediately greater than this. Next up, 2,488 with 2,459. So I compare the 2 with the 2, and they're the same, which means I need to move on to the next digit, 4 with the 4. They're also the same, so I move on to the next digit, the 8 with the 5. Oh, the 8 is greater, meaning that this number is also greater than this number. Next up, 7,122 with 7,123. Immediately you could guess that this is the greater number because this is the number before this number. But again, with the same process, 7 is the same as 7, 1 is the same as 1, 2 is the same as 2, but this 2 is less than this 3. So this number is greater. Next up we have 9,800 with 9,807. The 9 is the same as this 9, the 8 is the same as this 8, the 0 is the same as this 0, but this 0 is less than this 7, making this number greater. Okay, now with these last 4 comparisons, what I want you to notice is that the numbers on this side are 4-digit numbers, whereas the numbers on this side are not. They have fewer digits. What this means is that I do not go into the whole comparing the first digit with the first digit. If I were to do that, I'd make a mistake. I'd say 2 is less than 6, meaning that this would be greater. That would be a mistake. And also here, if I were to say 3 is less than 9, then this number is greater. Well, I want you to think about this for a second. What's on this side? 99. What's on this side? 3,126. Now imagine I offer you, let's say, 99 pencils on one side and 3,126 pencils on the other. And I ask you to choose which is more. Now immediately you can imagine that this is of course way more than this. This is much less than this. So the method that we were using up until now of comparing the first digits, that's only applicable if we are comparing numbers with the same number of digits. So here all of these numbers were 4-digit numbers. But here only these are 4-digit numbers. This is a 3-digit, this is a 2-digit, 3-digit, 2-digit. So immediately these numbers are more than what's on the other side. There's no comparison. And if you want to understand why, just take a look at this example, the last example. Here I have 1,000. 1,000 is the smallest 4-digit number there is. If you go any further below, you get 3-digit numbers, meaning 999. So this is the smallest 4-digit number I can make. Here I have 98. And it doesn't really matter, sorry. It doesn't really matter what's on this side. Here's 98. Let's say this wasn't 98. Let's say this was the biggest 3-digit number we can make. We'll make it a 3-digit number, okay? So what's the greatest 3-digit number we can make? That would be 999. This is the greatest 3-digit number that we can make by putting 9s in all 3 digits. This is still less than this. So what does that mean? It means that no matter what was here, since it has 3 digits, it is immediately less, it is automatically less than this, which has 4 digits. Okay? So that's how we do comparisons with 4-digit numbers. Okay, well, tomorrow we're going to be doing some calculations with 4-digit numbers. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good day.